Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Alone in My Mother's Basement podcast. We are back, baby, after 2 years of a very long absence, very long awaited as well. I see a lot of my fans getting very anxious for my return, and I have to thank everyone who waited, and I have to say, fuck you to everyone who gave up hope. You see, I didn't give up any hope during my 2-year stint in the Waukegan local low security detainment center. I didn't give up any hope when I was falsely accused of stealing a 1993 Mercury Grand Marquis station wagon. I didn't give up any hope, but you guys did, and fuck you for that. Fuck all of you that gave up hope on this incredible podcast. So, I guess I owe all of you lovely fellows and ladies that stuck it out a little bit of a explanation. I was wrongly accused by a clear plant. Yeah, what I mean by that is a fellow who is working with the police department of Waukegan against me. I was accused of him of breaking into a 1993 Mercury Grand Marquis station wagon. Of course, this went to trial because everyone knew that I didn't do it. But my public defender did such a bad job of defending me that I was put in jail for the maximum sentence of 2 years for stealing a 1993 Mercury Grand Marquis station wagon. You see, there's a different ruling out here. You see, it's such a popular vehicle because it's so desirable and good that you can only get 2 years because they're so plentiful, and the judges think that you can just get a new one if it gets stolen. But anyway, after I was roundly accused and imprisoned of that, I have made my grand entrance back to the free world of Waukegan, Illinois, the greatest city in all of Illinois, even better than Chicago and Gary, and the place that Local H is from. I don't really know. They're from like Chicago or something. So anyway, in recent news, you guys have probably seen this because it's so big. The stapler market has crashed. That's right. I've been following this for a while. I was very invested in the stapler market throughout my stint in jail, where I was turned into a hardened criminal by the fellows in jail that were along with me. But I made sure that I could get the finance section of the newspaper smuggled in, and I would always go straight to SW, Swingline. So Swingline, over the last couple of years, around 5 years or so, Swingline's been saying that they're going to introduce a new product to replace the 350i, which is by far the greatest stapler that's ever been invented. Like, no one's used a different stapler for a while, at least no one that takes himself seriously. See, the stapler is designed in the 1960s, very secretive, very under the radar. The U.S. Army actually invested a lot of money on it because the staplers that they were using at all their bases, they kept jamming. And one thing that the Army likes, it's efficiency. And you know what's the enemy of efficiency? Jamming staplers. So, this was designed jam-proof. If one of these jams, there's something wrong with you, buddy. And, so Swingline was never at fault for any of these jamming because they're that good at designing staplers. But these were a staple, if you catch my little pun there. They were a staple of the home, the office, anywhere that needed paper stapled together for many years, up until the last couple of years when they started losing a little bit of their market share to Arrow. And the Arrow Super Staple 17, this was developed in the 90s. Not quite as good as the swingline, I have to say. It was a bit plasticky in its construction, but it makes up for that in its cheapness, its affordability. It was fully automatic. It was a one-button press stapler with safety features, of course, as were standardized in the stapler community by the 90s, at least in electric staplers. The swingline did not have that. But these have had steady improvements over the years. The motors, the stapler springs, everything. They even updated it so that you could wall pack, which, huge. That's a huge one right there. Swingline was falling behind, and I understated earlier, they are losing by a big shot. Incredible amount of market loss by them. So they really had to scramble together a new product. And they made the MP5. It was supposed to be the greatest stapler ever, but they forgot one thing, to make it jam-proof. In the 40, 50, 60 years since the 60s, they forgot about where they came from. And now they made a cheap stapler that jams. The Army doesn't want it. The Navy doesn't want it. The Air Force doesn't want it. Nobody wants the MP5. It's a terrible stapler, and I hate it. But on top of that, Arrow went through a change in management. They stopped producing staplers. You see, they didn't know that Swingline was making their new MP5. They thought that they were going to continue with the legacy model that everyone loves. But they are not. And the thing is, their new CEO, Jim Halderman, does not want to go back to stapler producing. And that's led to an absolute tank. It's crashed overnight. Because either you get this terrible little swingline, or you get nothing. No one else is producing staplers. It's a very subsidized market. It's very hard to get permits for stapler production due to all the porous and very rare metals that easily contaminate dirt. It's very hard to get a stapler plant up and running these days. Of course, you could always expedite manufacturing out to China. That's been seen as very bad by the stapler community. In many places, especially the government, won't allow you to sell them. And so you'd have to go down to the black market stapler community to sell them. And that's something that isn't tracked by the stapler market. So, here are some of the replacements for Swingline. The Marcus brand shows some promise. They say that they're trying to produce a jam-proof stapler, but it doesn't look good so far. They had a failed press briefing where it jammed up 17 times out of 18 papers stapled. Not looking good for Marcus. We have the White Stapler Co. They are creating a gas-powered stapler, but they are skirting regulations. There is no safety mechanism on that stapler. If you put your hand under it, it will staple you as many times as it wants. It will staple you until the staples run out. So, I gotta say the White Stapler Co. gets a pretty big thumbs down from me. So, it's looking pretty bleak right now, stapler fans. And I don't think we're going to have a hero. It might just be time to move on. So hold on to your swing lines, because the future might not be bright.